Chapter 22. Lord Kalki travels to Balatanagar, ruled by Shashidvaja. A great battle takes place. Sutta Goswami said, after a short while, Lord Kalki, sword in hand and riding upon his horse, arrived at the city of Balata, accompanied by his vast army. The king of Balata was a great mystic yogi who was aware that Kalki was an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, Lord Hari. Still, he came out of his city, along with his army, to fight with the Lord. This king, named Shashidvaja, was actually a devotee of Lord Krishna, and he was constantly merged in transcendental ecstasy. He was very intelligent, handsome, wealthy, and very powerful. His chaste and devoted wife, Sushanta, observed many religious vows in relation to Lord Hari. When she saw that her husband was about to fight with Lord Kalki, she said, "My dear husband, Kalki is the Supreme Lord and Supersoul of all living entities. How can you dare to strike and injure his body?" King Shashidvaja said, "O Goddess Sushanta, in battle, there is no fault in injuring the body of an elderly person or even one's own disciple. This principle has been ordained by Brahma himself. If one comes out victorious in battle, he can enjoy his kingdom without any hindrance. And if he dies on the battlefield, he goes to enjoy celestial happiness in heaven. Therefore, for a Kshatriya, both victory and defeat are auspicious." Sushanta replied, "The enjoyment of a kingdom without hindrance and the attainment of the heavenly planets may be accepted as the goal of life by those who are intoxicated by thoughts of sense gratification, but they are most insignificant for those who render service at the feet of Lord Hari. O Lord, you are a servant and Lord Kalki is the master. You have no desires for material enjoyment, and he is the bestower of fruits and actions. Considering this, how is it possible for you to fight with him?" King Shashidvaja said, "My dear goddess, both the Supreme Lord and his servants are transcendental due to the dualities of material existence, such as happiness and distress. Material designations are mistakenly attributed to the Lord and his devotees because they appear in bodies resembling those of the material world. Therefore, fighting is simply another one of our pastimes. Because the Supreme Lord appears in a human-like form, he displays anger, ambition, and other human qualities. Therefore, why should he not display the desire for enjoyment? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss. When he incarnates within this world, he remains as he is, even though he assumes a body similar to that of a human being. He and his servant's birth, activities, and disappearance are transcendental, although to materialists they appear mundane. The object of service, the servant, and the service are creations of the Lord's internal potency. A devotee's realization that the living entities are simultaneously one with and different from the Supreme Lord awards him the three objectives of life. O Goddess, it is for this reason that I am eager to fight with Lord Kalki. You should now worship the Lord of Lakshmi with great attention." Sushanta said, "O Lord, I am very glad that you have such a wonderful service attitude toward Lord Hari. there is no other objective in this world or the next than Lord Vishnu. Upon hearing Sushanta speak in this way, and seeing her offer obeisances to the Lord, King Shashidvaja remembered Lord Hari as tears came to his eyes. Indeed, he felt proud to be a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Thereafter, the king joyfully embraced his wife, and then entered the battlefield, while remembering Lord Hari and chanting his holy names, along with the countless Vaishnav warriors. After entering the battlefield, King Shashidvaja creating great destruction in the ranks of the army of Lord Kalki. At this time, the powerful Sanadas and Sayakarnas picked up their weapons and fought along with their king. Shashidvaja's son, Shri Suryaketu, was a great warrior and master bowman, and a devotee of Lord Hari. He fought with King Maru of the Surya dynasty. Suryaketu's younger brother was named Brihatketu. He was very handsome, and he had a voice like a cuckoo, and he was very expert at fighting with the club. He fought with King Devapi. King Vishakayupa, surrounded by many elephant warriors and brandishing celestial weapons, confronted King Shashidvaja. In the midst of the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses, the greatly powerful Gargya, a master bowman whose arms moved like the wind and who rode upon a red horse, engaged in fighting with the very expert bowman, Shanta. The battle became very intense as all these powerful warriors fought with their tridents, clubs, arrows, anchors, spears, swords, maces, and axes. The battlefield became a collage of flags, poles, emblems, clubs, umbrellas, chamaras, and dust raised by the hooves of the horses. The demigods observed this fierce battle from their positions behind the clouds. The Gandharvas hovered over the battlefield, singing in sweet voices. Indeed, a huge crowd gathered to witness the battle. Because of the deafening noise created by the blowing of conch shells, beating of drums, challenging of the warriors, cries of the elephants, neighing of the horses, and clashing of the weapons, no one could hear what their companions were saying. Soon, the battle came to resemble a great fight between the demigods and demons, thus giving Yamraj many candidates for punishment. Numerous soldiers belonging to the armies of both Lord Kalki and Shashidvaja lost their arms, legs, and heads in this great battle. Some injured soldiers ran here and there, screaming with pain. Others made grotesque sounds, while others lay soaked with blood. Some wounded soldiers fell onto other warriors, and others were crushed under the legs of horses and elephants and the wheels of chariots. In that great battle, many tens of millions of great warriors lost their lives, so that the battlefield became a river of blood. Although certainly a ghastly sight, ghosts, hobgoblins, jackals, demons, and foxes were very happy to see this river of blood. The crowns floating in that river of blood appeared like swans. The slain elephants looked like its banks, and chariots were boats. The severed hands and legs were fish, and the innumerable swords looked like so much golden sand on the shore. In this way, the entire battlefield wore the appearance of a mighty river. The strongly built Suryaketu, who looked like a second Yamraj, covered King Maru with many arrows. In retaliation, Maru released 10 wonderful arrows that injured Suryaketu. Being pierced by Maru's arrows, Suryaketu became enraged and countered by killing the king's horses one by one. He then broke King Maru's chariot to pieces, smashing it with his club. Due to being struck by one of his blows, King Maru lost his balance and fell to the ground unconscious. King Maru's loyal charioteer quickly came and placed him on another chariot. Meanwhile, the powerful Brihatketu dazed Devapi with his incessant stream of arrows. As thick fog covers the sun, Devapi, who had been greatly afflicted by Brihatketu's arrows, picked up his bow and countered his adversary's arrows with his own. King Devapi then employed his wonderful golden arrows to break Brihatketu's tridents and other weapons into pieces. Brihatketu, who became inflamed with rage, picked up his bow and showered more arrows upon his adversary. Brihatketu then released golden arrows having iron tips and vulture feathers, piercing Devapi all over his body. Devapi countered with his sharp arrows and managed to break Brihatketu's celebrated bow. Finding no other means, unsheathed his sword and charged at Devapi in a final attempt to kill him. That great warrior, Brihatketu, was able to kill Devapi's horses and chariot driver as the fierce battle continued. Devapi then threw down his bow and gave his enemy a powerful blow with his fist. Brihatketu was stunned, and so Devapi grabbed him and began squeezing his neck as it was held between his arm and chest. As a result of this, the 24-year-old Brihatketu fell down unconscious onto the battlefield as if dead. Upon seeing his brother as if bereft of life, Suryaketu brought his fist down on Devapi's head. As a result of that terrible blow, which appeared like the striking of a thunderbolt, Devapi also fell down unconscious. At this, Suryaketu mercilessly attacked Devapi's soldiers, causing them to scatter. At about that time, King Shashidhvaja happened to see Lord Kalki roaming the battlefield. The Lord's eyes were like lotus petals. His complexion was very dark, and his effulgence was as bright as the sun. He appeared to be the shelter of the universe. He was dressed in yellow garments, and his arms extended to his knees. On his head was placed a transcendental crown. Lord Kalki's body appeared even more brilliant due to the reflections of his jeweled ornaments. The Lord presented a very pleasing sight for everyone. Indeed, his darshan destroyed the contamination within everyone's heart. All the kings, headed by Vishakayupa, surrounded the Lord. Take two. Headed by Vishakayupa, surrounded the Lord, and Dharma and Satyayug. Take two. And Dharma and Satyayug personified were seen worshipping him. Thus ends the translation of the 22nd chapter of Shri Kalki Puran. Shri Radha.